welcome back to another video. If you are new here, my name is Antonia. Today we're going to be talking about solo travel tips. I personally went on my very first solo trip 2 weeks ago, so I'm just going to share anything that I found that I think will be the best advice that you can then go forward and either book your own solo travel or book it with friends. Tips for hopefully booking like things a little bit cheaper than what they are on like storefront. I don't know what ways it is I'm looking for, but just basically trying to find like cheaper alternatives to book holidays for cheaper so you can go on trips, you, your friends, whoever it is that you want to go with, but also a couple of tips that I got from personally being in Brussels. So if you're interested in any of that, then make sure you carry on watching. I'm first going to talk about like general tips in getting like potentially like cheaper holidays, and then we'll deep dive into the solo travel tips a little bit later on. I keep stuttering when it comes to the word tips and I keep going to say trips, so if I say it wrong throughout the video, I apologize, like please forgive me. In terms of traveling and trying to get things as cheap as possible, there is a website called Skyscraper. I will leave all the links to everything down below, by the way, for anything that I mention, to hopefully make it a little bit easier for yourself. Basically scans on all the websites what the cheapest flight is. Me personally, when I went on it, it was Ryanair. Be sure that when you go on this site, it is when you are planning on actually booking it and going ahead rather than looking at the flight sort of prices. I know that can be difficult because obviously the prices can determine where you're going, but it's always the cheapest the first time that you go on. This price like alternates quite a lot throughout the day, throughout the days. The cheapest time that I found was Sunday night and Tuesday night was the cheapest. There was a couple of times where it was a little bit more expensive and a little bit cheaper at like, again, different times, just alternate, but the Sunday was the cheapest that I found. So just be sure to have a little look at that when you are planning to book. It'll then redirect you to the website, and then you can choose if you want like additional things like picking your seat, additional luggage, priority service, so you can like get on the plane a little bit quicker. Personally, I don't really see the difference in that, don't get me wrong, like you stand in the queue a little bit longer, but they just get to the seat 2 minutes quicker than you. Like, I don't know, it's up to you, like whatever it is that you want to do. The only time I'd use priority because you get your like little mini case with it too, which obviously is good depending on how long you're going for the trip for. For me personally, I was only going for 2 days, 1 night. I only had a backpack, like I didn't need a little suitcase. The cheapest one that I had was Ryanair, so then I decided to go and download Ryanair's app on my phone so I could go and have a look myself and like go through all that motion and book it, and then that way it kind of like allows you straight access to your boarding pass, which then you can then add to your Apple or Google Wallet. 100% would recommend doing that because you do have to show that quite a lot while you're in the airport. I think it's only twice, but just so it's a like lot easier, because the first time when I was trying to go through the gate, I already thought I had it on my wallet and I didn't. So definitely make sure that you've got that all ready in there. Now, once you booked your flights, I actually did this the other way around. So I booked me hotel before I booked my flights. So I was like, I've got to go now because I've booked the place. I personally use Expedia. I did also look at booking.com, and I know there is other sites that you can use like Airbnb and things like that. But Expedia was the cheapest one that I found. It was exactly the same hotel that I was looking for on booking.com, but there was like a £40 difference. So definitely shop around when it comes to things like that to find the cheapest hotel for you. Now, the other thing that I did was me and my best friends, Helen and Serena, were sitting there and we planned out everywhere that I wanted to go in Brussels. We picked the hotel based on that. It was the easiest and most convenient for me that once I was in the hotel, especially if you're going solo, that you can then go around to all the places that you want to go to, restaurants, shops, for me a bookstore, bars, whatever it is that you want to go to, museums. Make sure it's all local. And the hotel that I picked when I went to Brussels was unbelievable. I will leave the name here because it was like Hotel St. Grey, I think it was called. It was beautiful, absolutely gorgeous hotel, amazing location. It was literally right in the middle of everything. Like Grand Place was like, I think a 7-minute walk, so it literally was the centre of Brussels. So I 100% would recommend that. And again, I went and booked that on Expedia. So I booked that straight away, got the confirmation, and then went on to Ryanair and booked my flights. Me personally, I'm not bashing Ryanair. I would fly with them again. They're not my favourite airline because with them, if you do not book a seat, which you have to pay an extra £8 minimum for, if you want more like leg room, it's like £10, and if you want like extra crazy leg room, it's like £21 on top of your plane ticket. Now, I was under the impression that as long as you like check in early, which if you haven't got priority or you haven't paid for your seat, you can only check in 24 hours exactly before, not the day before, 24 hours exactly before your flight. Do not make the mistake that I did. Stay up till midnight, hoping that you can check in early to then pick your seat, because you can't. It literally has to be the flight time. Also, if you do not pay for your seat, you can't pick your seat. And every time Ryanair put me in the middle seat. I don't know whether it was just that I got bad luck for the first 2 times. I feel like they do that to entice you to buy a seat. Don't think that's necessarily nice, but hey ho, it's business, isn't it? Like, they're gonna do what they want to do. Like, if they're gonna be greedy, like, do whatever. That's the only thing to bear in mind. If you know you want a window seat or you know you want an aisle seat, it's up to you, but pay the extra £8 or whatever it is, depending if you want the extra leg room, just to ensure that you haven't got that concern if you don't like sitting in the middle of people. For me personally, I didn't pay when I went. I tried to, it just wouldn't let me, because originally I was like, I'm not paying, and then I decided when I got the middle seat, I was like, oh no. For me personally, which is something I'll go on to a little couple of tips later on, I suffer really bad with travel sickness, so I personally use, I know the box is the box is battered because it's got all of the little medications in there, but I always take like a little first aid kit basically with me whenever I go anywhere. These travel sickness tablets are so good. You can take them up to 30 minutes before you're going to take your flight or you're going to travel, whatever it is that you're going to do, and they last up to 6 hours. So personally, I think these are amazing and they last a while. And then I personally put all other little like tablets in there, like cocodamol, ibuprofen. I call it ibuprofen, but ibuprofen I think is the correct way of saying it. I also put plasters in here and Rennies just in case I got heartburn. So again, just for something you to think about, like whenever you're going to be traveling, it's just taking like a little mini tablet thing, because it's not worse when you go somewhere you've got a headache and you can't get rid of it. On the flight there, I sat in the middle seat, and then on the flight back I did pay the extra £8 and sat in the window seat, just more so I could record it taken off, look out the window. Like, I enjoyed that. Like, I think it's so like nice being able to like see the outside, be up in the clouds, chilling like an angel that we are. So I love that, I'm not gonna lie. So once it's all booked, add everything in, get all your apps going. Now pre-plan, that's 100% my thing. It's up to you. Like, I say this, it depends what type of person you are. If you like to just be free and do whatever the wind takes you, and like, you know what I mean, you'll just like experience it when you get there. I personally, again, because it was the first time I've ever gone on my own, so this might be helpful more for people who are going solo, I like researched everything. I went onto TikTok, I had a look at all the places that they recommended to go. I love TikTok videos for that. I am bringing out my own TikTok for me travels to show you like what Brussels looked like, because it was absolutely beautiful and I would recommend going there. I looked at all the places to eat, I searched all the reviews, and this led me on to downloading Google Maps. Now, I personally didn't have Google Maps downloaded before I went on the trip. It's the best thing ever. It's so good. You can like bookmark them and like add them into like your own little folder. So I had a little Brussels trip, and like I put the like little icon as like the Brussels flag, oh not Brussels flag, sorry, Belgium's flag. And it just really helped that every time I wanted to go somewhere, I could just click on wherever I'd bookmarked, and then it'll just like decipher how far it'll take me and how long it'll take me to get there, and it'll just keep directing you. That was like a massive help for me, because it allowed me to save everywhere that I wanted to go, and then it allowed me to make an itinerary, which again is something that you can do. It's up to you what you like to do. I personally planned it out to like the average hours of where I was going to be, just again to make my life easier. So I knew like I wanted to take breakfast, which I didn't end up having breakfast. I was like, I'm going to have breakfast in X, Y and Z. I was going to have my lunch in Lloyd's bakery, which I ended up doing. I wanted to, it's Lloyd's coffee shop, I think it's called, I apologise. And then I was like, I want to go and have my tea at Nona. If you ever go to Brussels, Nona Italian restaurant is the best Italian food. I've been to Italy. I enjoyed the food in Belgium more than I did in Italy, and I love it, by the way. Like, when I went, let me not, like, obviously Italian food is going to be gorgeous where it's from, and I went to Milan and I went to Lake Como, and the pizza was beautiful. I only had one pasta dish, and I didn't really enjoy the pasta dish when I was in Italy, and I know that's a crime. Maybe it was what I ordered, but the pasta dish that I had in Brussels was absolutely it was just gorgeous. It was unbelievable. It was honestly one of the nicest foods I've ever had in my entire life, which, if you're looking at me, I've had food, like, you can see I've had food. Like, I am not, don't not get me wrong, I'm not Gordon Ramsay, I'm not a food critic, but like, I know good food when I eat one, and that was just absolutely unbelievable. So I had to look at all the restaurants that I wanted to go to, and again, planned it all out, knew exactly where I wanted to go, and it just made it so much easier. It took a lot of the stress away. I went and checked in straight into the hotel. Have a little look, by the way, when you go on Expedia, on the hotel, and see whether they have like a check-in, check-out time. Obviously they will, but I mean, as in, like, if you're not getting a late flight, you have to sometimes let certain hotels know. Like my hotel closed at 11, so if I weren't going to arrive till 1 in the morning, I wasn't going to be able to check in. So you have to pre-warn them before you're going to get there that you haven't got a flight that's going to turn up until a certain time. So obviously you can ensure that they've got staff there to allow you to be able to get into your room. Just bear that in mind whenever you are looking at your flight times and like your hotels, and see whether they're like a 24-hour hotel or whether they have like a certain limit that then they will close. I can imagine a lot in Brussels closes around 11, if not a little bit earlier, because they are quite like I found them quite a quiet city. Like it, you know, very busy when I arrived at like 6 o'clock, but they seem like they're like afternoon goers. Do not get me wrong, again, I was only there for 2 days, I'm not making any assumptions, but there isn't a wild nightlife that I found. But I don't really go looking for that type of scene anyway, so again, just make sure you look into the place that you're going to, that it is going to fit your vibe, because personally for me it was like the best thing ever. Like, I'm here for food, I'm here for the aesthetics, I'm here to go to the shops, like I love all that type of stuff, and like the architect and looking around, and it definitely had that. The people also in Brussels, absolutely beautiful, like some of the nicest people I've ever met in my life, and it was just so lovely. That's 100% one thing I'd say with traveling on your own. Don't be scared about it. Like, it's up to you if you want to make friends while you're there. Loads of people say that you can, and you do. I didn't make anyone like friends, I was just friendly to people, and like had a little chat and would smile and what have you, and that'd do me. Like, I was quite happy for it to be like a bit of a alone time for me. My job's quite full on with me speaking to people all the time, so I'm quite happy not to do that in some days and just kind of shut off from the world, read my book and people watch. Like, that is just like my favourite thing, and you can definitely do that in Brussels or wherever it is that you want to go. My next plan is to go to Barcelona, because I've never been to Spain, and I reckon that'll be like a nice little break. So that is where my next plan of my trip is going to be. Also, when you download whatever plane apps it is, so I personally have EasyJet and Ryanair downloaded. If you prefer any others, please let me know. I think EasyJet is my favourite. I can't remember if it's EasyJet or Jet2, but I really like one of them plane companies. I flew with them once and I just thought it was amazing. Like, it was the best like flight experience that I'd ever had. Can't tell you who it was. Obviously I'm not bougie enough to be flying with Emirates. Like, you're not going to come to me to get them type of tips, because your girl ain't living on that type of money to be flying with fancy sort of flights. But I really enjoyed it, and to be fair, the Ryanair staff that I spoke to, absolutely gorgeous. Again, like, had no issue. It just annoyed me over the seats. Like, I thought that was quite a rip-off, especially I thought you could, if you, as long as you like checked in the 24 hours, you could pick what was remaining, but you can't. And like, I just think that's a bit naughty that you can't get auto assigned. Again, like, I get the fact that, you know, if you're leaving it until 24 hours before, it's not fair on the people who are paying £8 if they get a window seat and you get one for free. But if they're available and you're happy to wait until 24 hours before when they mightn't be available, I feel like you should still be able to get that option. So that's just my humble opinion. You can let me know whether I'm just being a bit cheeky there, but like, I just think that should be the way it goes. But the other thing, if you're not able to walk around the places, like I know I've said to pre-book all that out ready to go, make sure that you download like a taxi service app that's ready for there. So Helen told me about an app called Bolt, which is basically like the Europe Uber. So I definitely would recommend having that account already set up. I already downloaded it, put all my information in so that it was ready to go, that when I arrived, if I wanted to get a taxi, I could. I'd recommend doing that so you know the price before you go up to like a taxi that's already there, because then they can basically give you any price, especially when you know that you're not a local. Like, from Brussels, which is the only thing, again, I would recommend it. And a few of my tips are going to be tailored just for that. So when you get to the Brussels airport, the Brussels city centre is like an hour away. So you can either get a taxi, which they were saying was €25 each for 4 people, so it's €100 altogether, or you can get the bus. Now, I would recommend pre-booking the bus. I will put the name of it down below, because I think it's like Firebilo or something like that. Like, I can't remember how you pronounce it or like how it's like spelled, but I know it begins with an F. So if you go onto their website, you can pre-book it and like book a return. Recommend doing that. I don't know why I didn't book a return. I think it's because I was thinking, would I get like a taxi on the way back, and then when I heard the price, obviously I wouldn't. The bus is really, really nice. It has charging ports, but it's only like the USB, so make sure you like can unplug your USB and plug that in so you can charge your phone or your watch or whatever it is that you're taking. And it's aircon, like it is just quite nice. Like, it's got room above to put like any like sort of bags. Obviously you can put your cases in. I only had my backpack, so I just put my backpack on the floor. It has like a little footrest, so that is really nice, but you can pre-book them, supposedly they're cheaper. You can do it online, or when you arrive to the airport, you can go to like the machine and pay there. but you can only pay by credit card. You can't pay by euros or with like obviously cash. So make sure that you do take your credit card. I nearly didn't take my credit card with me, which would have devastated me, because that is one thing I would 100% tell you. Brussels in particular are very heavy on credit card usage. Don't know whether it's because of the like pandemic that we were in, but it's very like card heavy, so just prepare for that. Also, Brussels is really expensive. I don't know whether, again, because it's like the capital city and like it's very busy, but it's very expensive. I was only there for 2 days and managed to get through like £300, and I'm like, I don't understand on what. Like, I don't understand. But I did buy presents for people. I bought presents for like my mum, my friends, like me nan, my dad, like basically everyone, my brother. So again, like it could be that I could be the problem here. I did also buy myself some books and stuff, so yeah, it does make sense when I think about it. But in general, like I think the first day I spent like £100, and I thought I'd only had like a meal, which was like €20, and that was with a tip. And then I went and had a dessert at the waffle factory. Let me just tell you now, I know this isn't fully relevant to solo traveling. If you do go to Brussels, go to the waffle factory. It's the best waffle I've ever had in my life. Everyone says Mason Dantoy is the best one. It's not. It's not. It's nice, sickly. The waffle factory, emotional, absolutely gorgeous. So in terms, again, back to like your solo travel tips, I would also recommend that you pre-do a list. Now, I'm a listy girl. If you can't tell by me itinerary and planning everything out that I wanted to do, I like to do a list of packing everything. Just because you're on your own, it can be overwhelming. So you want to make sure that you can pack everything before you go, that you've got all your tablets and you've got like your Kindle and you've got, I don't know, your hair bobble, brush, whatever it is that you need. And in that way, when you get there and you unpack them, or like in my case, I literally just put my bag down and took like some of my essentials out, you can untick them. So you can like then repack them, and it'll make it easier for you to know exactly what you've got and what you haven't got, so you don't leave anything in the hotel. The other thing I would say as well, when it comes to like packing and getting through the airport, when you've got your liquids, I did buy clear cases. I will link them down below. I've got one to show you. So you get these clear cases. I think there was 2 for, it's either £6 or £9, I'm not entirely sure. So it's these amazing little cases. You can put all of your liquids inside, zip it up. It's actually like, I know it's like squished at the minute, but it's really decent size. I 100% would recommend this, but make sure that when you go through the security, you put this on top. I made the rookie mistake of putting me computer bag in there. I put my Kindle, my phone, my watch, because I take every electric, my AirPods. I'm like every electric. I don't want you to stop me, especially traveling on your own. Expect to be stopped a little bit more, because you sometimes think you're dodgy because you're on your own, which again, odd bod, but whatever. If you put this underneath your jacket, like a silly goose that I did, they then pull you and they'll reject it, and then you have to search through your whole bag and scan everything, which is what they had to do for me. And she was like, it was literally just because you put this underneath your jacket, so it was like you were trying to hide it, and obviously I wasn't. So always make sure that is firmly on the top when you're in the airport, just so you don't make a mistake like I did, especially when you're on your own, or if it's the first time. It was panicking. I was thinking, oh, I'm not even getting out of Manchester. Here I am. I'm taking home. Do you know what I mean? So that's another thing that I'd recommend. The other thing, if it makes you feel a little bit better, that you could do is Google whatever language it is that they speak in whatever city or country it is that you're planning on going to, just so that you can potentially either understand the basics or like be pleasant enough to say hello. I know as English people, we are quite rude and we kind of expect everyone to speak English, and people around the world are beautiful and they normally like learn English for us, which makes our life a lot easier. But it is still nice to make that effort, and especially like I noticed when I was in Italy, they love it when you try and speak Italian to them. I panic so much of speaking another language because I don't want to insult someone by trying to speak the language, even though I'm telling you it's the opposite. But my accent's quite strong, so anytime I try and speak in another language, waffle comes out. So yeah, but I think it's a really pleasant thing, and even if you just understand the basics, that you can potentially like read it slightly, so you can understand that this is like the bus stop, this is the train track, this is for trams, like anything like that. It might make it a little bit easier for yourself. The other thing I would say to do when it comes to your hotel room, now, if you're like sleeping or whatever, because that's one thing I was really nervous about, which is why I only slept for one night. I really struggle to settle down in new places and feel comfortable that basically I'm not going to get murdered. I mean, the only saving grace for me was I'm still overweight. I might have lost over 2 stone. I haven't hit me 2.5, but I thought it'll take at least 4 men to carry me out this room. Surely someone will notice. So that was like a bit of a reassuring thing for me, as terrible as it is using my weight as a guard, but at least it did in a way. Nothing like that happened, by the way, so please don't ever worry. But I personally always put like a chair up behind the door so that if someone does come in, the chair will move and you're going to hear it. Or you can, they didn't have cups available that were there, but you could always put like a cup, hang that on the handle, so if someone opens the door, it's going to drop the cup and it'll smash and wake you up. Not that I want any like panic to come into you if you like plan on going solo travel, like that is not my intention, but that personally just mitigates my concerns, just that I know I've got that kind of safety mechanism, the safety mechanism there to wake me up so that I can like jump to action if anything, God forbid, does happen. You've got that, even if it's not even like as dramatic as like the cleaner coming in and you're still asleep and you don't, like my hotel didn't have like a do not disturb sign, you kind of got that preparation, like if the chair's gonna move, sorry, with the door, then you kind of know someone's like entering the room with or without your permission. So again, not that I want it to be a scary situation, because I promise you it wasn't. Like, I thoroughly enjoyed solo traveling and would 100% recommend it. I pre-downloaded books, I went to the airport early, which, just as a hint as well, wherever it is that you're going, for me personally, obviously, again, I knew Brussels, like in the airport, was an hour away. I ended up queuing to get on the bus to take me to the airport for an hour. So only the fact that I left early to make sure that I had enough time to sit in the airport and read, which was what my plan was anyway, I got into the airport perfectly on time. But I know there was a lad behind me who was going to Italy, I think he was going somewhere in Italy that he was originally from. That's where he was going to go and see his family, and his flight was going at 5:30. We got into that queue, I'd say around 4. So we was ordered to leaving it quite tight anyway, to be fair. Or I think it was the back end of 3. No, I think it was the back end of 3 that we got into the queue. And honestly, we got to the airport at 5:10. So I've never seen him move so quick in my life. Like, I didn't know him, again, I was only speaking to him when we were in the queue, but just be cautious if anything goes wrong like that, that you have time to get to the airport and get to your plane, so you then don't have to pay additional money to get an additional flight to get home. So that is another thing I'd be cautious of. For me, I'm a panicker when it comes to traveling. As I've just told you before, I have got like travel sickness. I get really like anxious when it comes to traveling. So I just really calmed my mind so much when it comes to being on my own. And it was just nice because you can take as long as you want to and whatever you want. You can eat whenever you want. You can go stand in the shops all day if that's what you want to do. You can sit on a bench and read all day if that's what you want to do. And it's so liberating. I know you can do that at home, but there's something special about doing it when you're abroad. And I feel like it's a really special thing that you're going to do for yourself. So I 100% would recommend it. I hope these tips helped. If there's anything more that you want to know, please let me know in the comments down below. I can't think of anything on top of my head, and I feel like I've been talking for a really long time, so I don't want to keep these for too long. But yeah, I definitely would recommend. Please let me know of any way that you've gone on your own down below. God, you're going to be speaking to me so much in these comments. Think of actually to tell me about 85 different things. But definitely do. Tell me of any way that you think I should go on my next solo trip, and hopefully I will see you there. Have a gorgeous day, and I will see you in the next video. Make sure you subscribe. See you soon. Bye bye.